we're living in a time where you just really have to, we're living in that time very similar to the dot-com bubble, very similar to the social media bubble, a time where you really have to reinvent yourself, right? And what do I kind of mean by that? It's very interesting, obviously, being my age, where I'm 27 right now. When I lived through the dot-com bubble, again, I was super young, right? I nowhere near having the mental faculties to kind of understand what was going on then. But you hear how obviously the internet came in and changed everything, revolutionized, how people connect, especially on a global level, in that interconnected space, right, on the internet. And then you've got the social media era that came in. So obviously we used to hop on to the internet through laptops and computers, and now this was now happening through our mobile devices, right? A lot more, well, definitely a lot more now, but social media was coming in, and of course a lot more people were spending a lot more time on their phones. And now we have an era where, yes, we do spend a lot of time on our phones, but now you've got this whole AI buzz kind of coming in where it's changing everything. It's changing how we do things in general, right? Like simple tasks are kind of just being wiped out. Or let me not say wiped out. They are, being taken over, right, by AI, because it clears out the easy stuff. And so for just like random thoughts, I was kind of just thinking about where it's, I find myself kind of stepping into reinventing, how I am, who I am, how I do business, how I make my own content as well, which is also quite different. And I think it's forcing everybody to just rethink how they do everything. And one of the scary things, especially when you're, thinking about reinventing yourself, is, you're stepping out of the cliche way to say it is you're stepping out of your comfort zone, right? But I think it's not just that. You're kind of adapting, right? You're kind of adapting to something that's quite new, which is scary, because if I'm comfortable in, in something that I know, why change, right? That's like a default setting, right? Why change if I'm comfortable in something that I know? But at the same time, like, I guess that's what separates the people who win or who stay. Or actually, well, there's an interesting term for it, which is the infinite player. So there's a player who plays just to win, and then there are players who play to kind of keep playing the game, right? And the players who play to win, yeah, fine, they may just win a couple of times right now, but then they get stuck within that same cycle, or the same skill set, or the same mentality, right? Whereas a player who's playing to keep playing the game is a little bit different. They don't necessarily have to win. They're playing to outplay like everybody else in the game, right? Which is, it's a different way to kind of look at it. And I think if you put that on like a life perspective where, okay, right, maybe you were part of, again, maybe this is also what makes billionaires, right? Like you were maybe part of the dot-com bubble, right? And you invested into internet businesses, into computers, let's say computer software, and then you kind of saw into the future that, phones are coming out and that's going to be quite popular. All right, you invest into phones. Social media is coming out, right? Facebook, Twitter, you hear all these stories about like the angel investors of Facebook, angel investors of, Instagram, various other platforms, right, that paid out for them. And okay, investing into social media. And then obviously now it's a lot of tech softwares coming out. And then there's a lot of AI softwares also coming about. You've got crypto, right? Again, I'm not an expert in all that, right? But people just kind of keep equipping themselves and just learning about the new environment that's here, the new environments that's going to be there, in the future. And I think that's just important, right? Why am I sharing this message? I don't know, man. Anybody who's watching who may just be feeling the same thing, that the world's changing and I feel I need to reinvent myself, this is just part of my own story, sharing that. If it's valuable for anybody who's watching, then that's a plus, even if it's just one person, or if it's 100,000, right, or 1,000,000. I think the story behind it is just it's time to time to kind of kick into gear. It's time to kind of just challenge yourself and say, okay, look, let me take that leap. Let me try something new, right? And you never know where you're going to end up, right? Like right now, there's so much dust in the air, or dust in the air, in the sense that like there's just so much buzz and media, and there's like a AI frenzy that's coming about. But obviously, this is going to settle at some point of view, right? When the TikToks and the Facebooks came out, Instagram, there was always a buzz in the beginning. But then eventually things settled, and the people who equipped themselves before or during those earlier stages kind of ended up in a better position, right? So I think this is just me sharing out to the world, out to the universe, just saying, look, if you need a sign or something to change, or to re-equip yourself, reinvent yourself, just take that leap, man. Just take that leap. You'll definitely end up in a happier place. Metamorphosis, right? Just like butterflies do. Cheesy way to end it, but yeah, that's me today.